My policy concern is adequate housing for youth experiencing homelessness in Canada. So what is youth homelessness? The Canadian definition of youth homelessness refers to the situation and experience of young people between the ages of 13 to 24 who are living independently of parents and or caregivers but do not have the means or ability to acquire safe and consistent residence. The graphics here are stats. 20% of all people who experience homelessness in Canada are youth, and over the course of a year, 35 to 40,000 youth will experience homelessness. It may be episodic, hidden, or them going to a shelter. Hidden homelessness are young people who couch surf at friends and family temporarily, and it is the most common type of homelessness. LGBTQ2S make up 25 to 40% of homeless population. Indigenous and racialized minorities overrepresented in homelessness. So defining adequate housing. Adequate housing for youth needs to be safe, affordable, and based on the needs and abilities of adolescents and young people. There needs to be consideration of location not to create further barriers to access services. Culturally appropriate services need to be involved and specifically taken into account for Indigenous youth. Affordable housing is not the only piece of adequate housing. Youth need wraparound supports that are easy to access and specific to youth. This needs to happen at all levels, including both prevention and intervention. So a housing first model for youth would have a right to housing with no preconditions. Youth would have a choice in housing, and supports would encourage self-determination. Positive development in wellness plans integrated into their care team. Individualized youth-driven supports, such as support hours that would be atypical to meet youth outside of the regular 9-to-5 work week. And social and community integration. It is important to have a sense of belonging for young people and will increase their chances of success. So why is this important to social work? Canada does not have enough adequate housing for youth aged 13 to 24. Youth homelessness is a denial of basic human rights, and once identified, it must be remedied. All young people have the right to essentials of life, including adequate housing, food, safety, education, and justice. Housing is not a one-size-fits-all for everyone, and by understanding the barriers and limitations to one's success in housing, we as social workers can support and implement appropriate supports to prevent further housing insecurity. Below, I have listed the Away Home National recommendations to the federal government on policy. Finally, as social workers, students who majority of us will practice in British Columbia, I thought it would be important to include information gathered from the 2018 point-in-time count. 758 youth were identified experiencing homelessness during March of 2018. Youth under the age of 25 made up 15% of homeless population, which is below the national average, and 29% of respondents reported that they had child protection involvement in their life, and less than 1% were active in child protection at the time of the count. Below, I've listed the references for all of the information on the